think about listening to somebody new, talking about singing and playing for you? Won't you cuddle up with me under these cold covers? Music for your brain.
Like just whipping his hair around.
What we need is
We just have a dog cam.
Cooper.
Yeah, we gotta have the little guy from Super Mario in the cloud with the camera, just
Yes.
like following Cooper around.
You should put the fan on him so he's
Alright.
Oh my god, yeah, we do have the fan there.
Did that guy have a name? The cloud guy?
I don't. Yeah, he has a
yeah, he
name
does.
because
Yeah.
we saw the costume on
It's
Amazon.
like a Japanese name.
Yeah.
They all
It's
have
not
like
like
really
Mario.
weird names.
It's similar to Yoshi, similar to Yoshi's name, but it's not Yoshi. But he's also like a turtle-esque.
We gotta
But it's
figure that
also
out.
like the
creature.
cloud and the guy riding the cloud. They're two different.
Are they
They're
two different things? Yeah, because the
things.
cloud
Oh, yeah,
has
'cause he had a
smiley
face.
So it's like
I forgot about that.
That's true. That is true. Man, that poor cloud.
No, he probably likes it.
Now he
He
fed.
seemed happy. He had a smile.
He's chubby.
That's true.
He's eating them nuggies. You see him? He looks like a little nuggie.
He's like, the turtle pays him gold stars and stuff to...
There's coins to go around.
Yeah, exactly.
Those gold coins are everywhere.
Every time you see Mario get a gold coin, we just gotta get a shot and we'll get a percentage of it. So,
yeah, I wonder who Mario pays his taxes to.
Koopa. Bowser.
No, that's
this
Princess
Koopa.
Peach, dude.
Not this Koopa.
Yeah, that whole thing's about taxes.
Yeah.
It's not really about the
Super
girl.
Mario's literally...
They're just trying to evade taxes or something.
Couldn't make it as a plumber. Decided to steal a bunch of coins.
I used to think he was a painter
Yeah.
because of the outfit. Cause
I thought he was a
on
painter.
the,
He
on
does
the,
look- yeah,
on
that
the
is definitely a painting
NES,
outfit.
he
Yeah.
wears like a white overalls and a white hat, and painters always wear like the white outfit.
And the
I've
white,
never...
white gloves. Like, who's a plumber with white gloves?
Not just that,
For
but
real? That's
What
a bad call. I never thought about
what
that.
plumber do you know that
Okay.
doesn't have his butt crack exposed? You know,
True.
Also
and
true.
they've got the overalls, so he clearly is a fraud of a plumber. So it's probably a front for something. That's why he's trying to evade taxes. So maybe Mario's actually the bad guy.
Mario, pay your taxes.
Damn.
And he's also a furry.
So he's stealing Peach
yeah,
at that
he
point.
the
Yeah.
Tanuki suit, trying to be a raccoon all the time.
He's not saving her. He's going to kidnap her.
He's going to kidnap her.
Princess
Wow.
is in
So.
another castle.
Man, that was pretty deep.
We're getting real deep right off the bat.
It's turning to the Joe Rogan podcast.
Joe Rogan podcast.
We haven't started.
Don't
talking
give him
about
any
chimps
more
yet.
press. Come on. We don't need that. We've got enough competition as it is. All right, so we're here with Pink Frosty. Say hello, Pink Frosty.
Hi,
Hello, Pink Frosty.
There you go. Introduce yourselves.
my name is Jesus. Please don't call me Jesus.
My name's Berlice.
All right, so Jesus and Berlice, I met y'all at the Battle of the Bands at Sweetwater,
True.
the famous Sweetwater bar in
Famous
Duluth.
Sweetwater. In
I
Duluth.
roll. That place is trash, but that Battle of the Bands was awesome. That was such a weird experience. They asked me to judge randomly and on a whim. I was like, okay, I got nothing going on.
That was cool.
Yeah, and so you guys came up and blew my mind. It was so weird. You guys were just so different, and I mean that in the best way. Weird is a compliment for me.
Good, good.
You
We
guys
agree.
were just.
Yeah, we try.
It's
we
a
try
weird
to be
band.
weird.
It was like a combination of a comedy act and a performance at the same time, and it felt like you were in on some like inside joke that no one else understood, and that was like the vibe I got from y'all.
Yeah,
It was
That's-
so like endearing and intimate and awesome.
that's a
And-
pretty good description, actually.
That's
I
very
really
accurate,
like that.
actually.
Yeah, it does feel like
I'm
an
glad that
inside
that-
joke sometimes.
That's
But I hope you felt invited
Yeah.
to
I
participate in
That's
the
the
joke.
thing. Yeah, it felt like I was like in on it, you
Okay,
know,
good.
without even knowing you guys. Like I felt like
Okay.
just the authenticity and like the awkwardness at the same time was just so like engaging. And all these bands are up there trying to be so professional and so like I think the band before you or something was up there trying to like be so almost like
They were serious.
yeah, they
They-
were
yeah, they
super
were very-
serious
Yeah.
and taking themselves so seriously because there it was a competition. Like
Yeah.
That's true.
normally it's when you're playing a gig with other bands, you're all on the same page, you're all
Yeah.
trying to work together. But that was kind of like the Battle of the Bands makes it kind of weird.
We brought the Tenacious D
The
vibes a little
Tenacious
bit.
D slash Ween vibes. Yeah.
That was like our third show, by the way.
Yeah,
Was it
second
really?
and third
Ever.
show.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
I had been playing drums for like 6 months at that point, and now I've been playing for a little over a year. So
That's
better.
incredible. You guys were, that was sick. I mean, the judging category sheet that they gave me had like 3 different categories. One was just vocals, and one was performance, and the other one was musicality.
Okay.
They were the most vague nonsense things, so I gave y'all the highest score out of the bands.
Well, we
Just a little
appreciate that.
inside thing. Yeah, so I thought y'all were the best. All the other judges were like, oh, the instruments, I give them like low because, like you said, you just started playing drums, and I was like,
Yeah,
that
being a
is the
drummer.
point.
Yeah, that was kind of the
it
point.
is.
Yeah, that's true. We
That,
we want it to sound a little bit like, you know, your first high school band that you just like you had so much fun playing in before you actually learned how to play the stuff, and like wanted to shred and show off how fast and how loud you could be or whatever.
Yes.
You know, taking it back to just like first thought, best thought, like have fun with it. you know?
I'm not trying to shred, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
no, I'm not pretending like I can't. Like, we're from Miami, and there's like a lot of grindcore there, and over there, it's like everything's like be as hard as you can fucking be, or go
Yeah.
home. You know what I mean? So, I don't know.
Yeah.
Once we isolated ourselves in the woods over here, then I felt like comfortable to start playing drums, and he started like recording me. He actually has been recording me since like the moment I started playing drums. So like you
Wow.
could listen.
The
to
pressure
me,
was on
like,
from the get-go.
The
actually
chronology.
evolve and shit.
That's
And it's
really
painful to
cool.
hear that, but I think it made me better faster than maybe some people, because like when you're hearing yourself play, you're like, oh my god. I don't know. I'm sure you probably feel like that too sometimes.
Well, as long as you're like,
Sometimes too.
you know, focusing on the right things to fix and not getting down on yourself for being not as good as you want to be, or, you know, like
Yeah.
constructive criticism of yourself.
Yeah, it was
I feel
always
like that could be super helpful.
definitely, and it helps that it's like, you know, that I get like the multi-track, so I can like isolate the guitar and be like, oh, that was cool right there. Let me try to remember that next time we play the song. Or like you hear how the drums like, you know, got really loud in this one part and then dropped. Like, let's try to remember exactly how we did that, you know, because a lot of the writing just like it happens very spontaneously.
Yeah.
You know, and you gotta catch it when it happens. Otherwise, you try to replicate it, and it feels forced.
Yeah, a lot of
So-
bands don't have those resources to be able to record every practice, like especially with this kind of equipment and like quality of it. So that must make it really, I guess, kind of like introspective songwriting process of like going back and listening to yourselves
Yeah.
practice and being like, we can take this chunk here and put it here, and like piecing together a jam into songs. That's really cool.
Yeah, pretty much something along the lines of that. It's definitely really helpful with the writing of stuff, because, you know, it's real easy to forget.
Yeah,
Especially if
for
you
sure.
know, if you just played it that one time. I couldn't tell you the number of times that I was in other bands and we like, you know, we're writing a song and then it kind of went somewhere and nobody was recording it, and then we come back next practice and then nobody remembers even playing.
Yes,
that
it's the
at all,
worst
so.
feeling ever.
And also the funny thing is that he actually shreds on drums. Like he
No
can
way.
actually really.
I don't
Play
know if I
drums,
can
but-
shred, but I can play fast.
He used to
punk
be in
stuff.
punk bands or whatever. He'd do like the no effects style, like
Nice.
like shit I could not do, but
That was down in
whatever,
Miami?
it's-
Yeah, yeah.
So how long have you been playing in bands in general, I guess?
Oh man.
Show your age right here.
Well, my first like band that I ever played a show with was when I was in 8th grade. I must have been 14, which places me at 16 years of
Wow.
playing in bands.
That's a long time.
Yeah.
Nice. And all of those were different instruments.
Yeah, I started. I kind of wanted to be a bass player because I thought that Mark Hoppus was
What?
really cool.
You wanted to be a bass
Yeah.
player.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
then
he's super
No one
cool.
ever wants to be a bass player.
I wanted to be a bass player because it was like not cool or something like that.
There you go.
And then I guess my mom made me play guitar or whatever. And then, you know, I was in bands playing bass and guitar, whatever would happen. And then eventually, you know, just being around drums, I just started playing. And,
Well,
Yeah.
nobody else would drum basically.
well, yeah, I had
So
one
then-
drummer that was hardly in a band that I was in. Now he's a very popular tattoo artist and he's very successful. So good for him.
Cool.
Um,
Shout out.
Yeah, and he was a good drummer, but he just didn't really like show up to practice, and he was just
Typical drummer.
Yeah, typical drummer. So I ended up having to like learn all the parts, and I would record all the drums, and just eventually became more of like a drummer. And then I started another band where I was like actually the drummer. So
Cool.
yeah, and it was like, it's a different experience writing from the drummer perspective than it is to write a song on guitar and then like put drums to it. And
For sure. I mean,
yeah.
almost no songs start on drums.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you might start a riff on drums and be like, we have to incorporate that riff somewhere in the song, and that'll be like a breakdown instrumental thing. But usually, you never start the writing process on the drums. That's really interesting.
Well, not that I would start the process on the drums, but I would have like for every part, instead of just playing like a backbeat, you know, or syncopating to kind of go with the rhythm of the song, I would get like really specific and way too technical and like do like as many.
Because you were taking
notes.
the music theory
Yeah.
classes, so he was like trying to do like weird math shit
Yeah.
or something,
Gotcha,
things
yeah.
that are
Like math,
you know
Crazy
what I mean?
time signature.
hardcore, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A lot
While
of
learning
stuff.
Like 7/8
drums, so
and
that's
5/4
there you go.
and
Yeah,
going
like
back and
grindcore
forth,
and 7/4 kind of shit. So like
Cool.
not easy to write and not easy to play, and I don't think I could ever actually play any of those songs live very well. But you know,
They're there.
now I don't feel pressured to play that way, so I can play regular ass drums and
Yeah.
not feel weird about it.
I mean, a lot of accomplished like lead singers and guitar players, like Ty Segall, Dave Grohl,
Yeah, there you go.
start on drums,
Yeah.
and like that background really helps them.
Yeah.
Like Ty Segall being the drummer in Fuzz, and then going on to be
Yeah.
like one of the most influential, just like distortion fuzz pedal
Yeah.
guitarists of like that genre. Is so insane.
Multi-instrumentalist period, because he plays all kinds of shit.
Yeah.
We're really into him. We
Yeah.
listen to like all of his stuff.
He's
I
got
love Ty.
that
We love him.
new record. I can't remember what it's called, but it's got no functional guitar
No
on
guitars in
Yeah.
it.
it.
You know,
Yeah,
It's all mandolins and stuff. It's
mandolins
amazing.
and weird synths and stuff like that.
he's
so
the king of weird,
Yeah.
very weird.
which
very,
is obviously y'all would gravitate
definitely.
towards that.
Yeah.
Now, if you had it your way all the time, I guess, would you always choose to be like a singer and guitarist over like playing drums, or?
I really like the variety of being able to, you know, jam on one thing versus another. If it was up to me, I would like not sing unless I was doing karaoke, because it's just
He does a killer Shakira,
I
by
do
the way.
I do
like,
I do
Oh.
a pretty
I will
good
never
underneath your
forget
clothes.
the
they say.
first time I saw him do that shit. I was like, "What?"
Is that when you fell in love?
I think it was. I was like, we had met at work, all right, and we had like a work relationship / I thought he was trying to take my job, so I actually kind of hated him. I
Oh.
thought he was like trying to step on my toes at work.
Gonna check your
And then we went to a Halloween party, like we had a lot of the same friends, and he was singing Shakira like I've never heard anybody sing in my life, like
my God.
fucking passionate. And I was like, what the fuck? Is that the guy I work with? So yeah,
That was
it
funny.
was him, and then we did kiss that night.
That's true.
Oh wow.
His hips don't lie.
His hips
My
did not
hips
lie.
don't.
It was underneath your clothes, okay? That song is dramatic as
That's
fuck.
the song.
Oh man, going
That's-
deep cuts.
One
That
day we
song
might
is
we might
super
do a
dramatic.
rendition of that.
It's too much,
That's awesome.
but it's great. You guys should come karaoke with us sometime.
Oh, yeah.
It's really
I
like
cannot karaoke.
it's good
Nobody
times to
can
watch.
karaoke.
It's good times.
As long as it's like Korean karaoke and not in front of
There
in
you
front of your
go.
friends and not a ton of people.
No, it has to be a ton of people you don't know. That's the best karaoke.
Yeah, 'cause they're
then
like-
they're like, what the fuck?
Their jaws
Yeah.
drop.
It's super funny. My favorite one that I haven't gone to yet is what's this place called by the Book House? The Local? Is that the name of the bar?
I think I've heard of
I
it.
The
think
Monday night
they
one.
do like a Monday night
Yeah.
karaoke that we have yet to go to, but we're pretty excited to go there one of these, maybe tomorrow. Tomorrow's Monday night.
Maybe.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe you can drag me out there, but I can't guarantee I'd get up on stage. That's for sure. This is about as much mic time as I'll ever have in my life.
That's
Doing
fine.
this,
Drummer,
and this is
drummer.
hard enough. So you got King of Weird. I want to get back to that. So y'all drawing from the weirdos like Ty Segall, and you not wanting to be on the mic. So like, when you write your lyrics, they're obviously pretty eclectic and like weird, so to speak. I guess they're just like drawing from your everyday life, right?
Pretty much, yeah. Sometimes what'll happen is one of us will just say something, And you know, when you talk, there's a rhythm and a flow to how you talk, and I'll hear like that rhythm. I'll be like, oh, that would be like a catchy, you know, thing. Like I remember we were fixing up a house, and there was a bunch of bamboo outside of it, and she said, "Look at all that bamboo."
I love
and
that.
And then that
riff.
eventually, I was like, "That sounds like a rap song." Look at all that bamboo. And then we just and we had another, you know, song that we were working on at the time, and it kind of fit, and I was just like, you know what? Let's just throw that in there and jam on it and see what happens, and then, you know.
I love the
kinda
riff in
came
that
out.
song.
I love it too.
That was sick.
That song was very heavily inspired by listening to a lot of David Lynch's audio work in Twin Peaks and his stuff with Angelo Badalamenti, and also the song Pink Frosty by Fugazi.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna.
Came up with that song.
I was gonna ask if that's how you got your band name. Was that song by
Definitely, yeah. And I actually met Brendan Canty, their drummer, when Mesthetics played at the Earl, and I gave him my whole. You influenced me so much as a musician. Thanks so much, and gave him a demo and stuff like that. So he's super nice. Super.
Are they
cool
still
guy.
selling their CDs for $5?
No,
they sold.
band.
I think they sold the record for 10.
20.
What?
No, we
They
paid
upped
20.
it? 20?
Yeah, it's fine. It was worth it.
But it wasn't Fugazi officially.
No,
right?
it
Well,
wasn't.
His band.
Yeah, it was his new band Mesthetics,
okay.
but I think it's Fugazi did the $10 CD, $5 show.
That was it.
So,
Yeah. Okay.
But
Yeah, 'cause I knew they were never gonna budge off of that. That was like their thing.
well, now Ian MacKay's got the new band with his wife and Joe from also Fugazi, and they've got that one song out, and in the end of the month they'll have that other song out, the rest of the album out actually. So pretty excited to hear that.
Hell yeah! Shout out to them. Okay, so going back to lyrics, a lot of them are super humorous. Like, are you guys intentionally doing that? Or does it just come off that way? Or is that insulting to even say?
No. We know that a lot of it is humorous.
It's like hilarious.
We find it funny.
We find a lot of it funny too.
If we can make ourselves laugh, we hope
Yeah.
we're making other people laugh. I think.
It comes from a place of, I don't know if you've ever listened to Ween,
Yeah.
Yes.
but they have some songs like "Don't Stand So Close to My Fantasy" or whatever. That if you listen to that song, you're like, is he serious or is this supposed to be funny?
That's true.
Yeah.
that's
So,
true,
or like if you listen to a Marvin Gaye song, it's like really, really good, but then like he'll do something and it makes you laugh, like with his vocals, you know, like real high up with the falsetto. And it's like, it's so good, but it makes me laugh at the same time. So it's like, I'm just trying to hit all those points usually.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's funny, sometimes it's like pissed off, but like you don't want to stay super pissed off, so you put some humor into it.
Can I ask which one you thought was funny? I'm just curious.
yeah.
Like,
There
what are you
are a
thinking?
bunch. I mean, like, okay, so specifically there was one in here.
I'm
I
just
wanted
curious.
to, yeah. Okay, the end of Robot Calls.
The
I mean,
Robot
and
Calls.
Robot
Robot
Calls
Calls,
in
yeah.
general. That's one of my
Okay.
favorite songs.
Well,
There you go.
yeah, the end
The
of
end
Robot
of it,
Calls,
especially though, it
That's-
seems like
based on a true story.
It's like a mixture. It's like a stream of consciousness
Yeah,
of things that happen around the same time.
Yeah, things that happen. No, those things happen very far apart from each other in that song.
Oh.
They just happened to be written at the same time.
Well, tell them about the end.
The end was we took this guy for a little hike to
A park.
a park that has a bunch of waterfalls and is haunted by souls of Civil War soldiers and stuff like that.
Yikes.
Crazy.
And we went to one of the waterfalls, and we saw this guy just like smoking a blunt, you know, on a rock on the waterfall. And then this girl comes up and she like lays a towel out on these rocks and like starts getting ready to suntan and pulls out like the fucking
canister
can to do whippets
To do
or whatever.
whippets. She was just
Oh, wow.
ripping
And then
it. Just
her, in broad daylight, you know,
this
in the middle of this
fucking
waterfall.
park.
And then her and the guy started talking, and I guess they started sharing the
You were just
blunt and the
exchanging it.
whippets, and I was just like, that's really fucking weird. And there's like families around walking by, like, you know. It's
We
just
were
like,
getting
shameless
robot
drug
calls
use.
like
And-
literally the entire.
well, we've been
freaking
getting
time.
robot calls
So
for the
everybody
last
gets
4
them.
years, like nonstop.
Everybody gets this.
So, yeah.
I swear it's
But yeah,
every
that-
single phone call I ever get now.
Yeah, pretty much.
That girl and that guy, they were special because they
They
were
were-
just like
yeah.
ripping.
They
it,
were
dude.
inspirational.
Like, just ripping it in public. Like,
Yeah.
I think there were families around. They didn't give a fuck. They were
Yeah, basically. So,
Okay.
that song is loosely based on that experience, pretty
Okay,
much.
gotcha.
And it was funny. It was really funny. So that was definitely meant to be, you know,
So it was meant to be
comical.
funny. Yeah, okay.
So
I'm
It's
just
funny
wondering
to
if
us.
like the audiences, like what they take away from what you guys do, if they like find it humorous, if that like offends you, if you're trying to like take yourself seriously or not,
oh no,
like on certain things.
I'm done trying to take myself seriously, at least musically. I know she kind of cares a lot less about like the seriousness of it.
Yeah.
But I used to be like
A real
sad
musician.
boy
For
acoustic guitar musician guy, and I was like, you know, writing lyrics that meant stuff and doing all this crazy technical stuff, and like eventually got to a point where I was like, nobody really cares about what I'm saying, you know. I'm like letting out all this emotion and being sad, but I think I'm just gonna like whatever comes out and have a good time and
Yeah.
go with it, you know.
Yeah, I feel like there's like two trains of thought in like getting into music. It's either like you're trying to pick up chicks and don't care, or like you're trying to let out your emotions seriously. So like that, I guess like that dynamic of like doing both at the same time, like where you're not caring, you're kind of just not taking yourself seriously, you're doing it for fun, and also trying to let out or express something super deep or like meaningful is like interesting to me with a band like you guys.
I would definitely say that we're very serious about having fun. with
Yeah,
the
that's
band.
Nice.
exactly right.
I think
Perfect
that's the
answer.
most
That
that's
is
the
the
most
most important.
important
Yeah.
part.
Yeah.
Um,
It is.
It's like, why would you be making music if you're not gonna enjoy it?
If you're not
Exactly.
yeah.
Fun.
yeah, and I know that if like somebody's like singing some sad country music and you walk into a bar, maybe you're not going to be into the sad country music because you're not in that mood. You know, I want to be making music that like can either change your mood or like enhance your mood or whatever, but not like negatively. You know, like-
Understandable, yeah.
So we're just trying to make it good, lighthearted music.
Not
That's
everything
not-
has to be
yeah.
like emotionally touching.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
There's lane for everything, and you guys definitely have your own unique lane, which I love about you guys. You're not
Thanks.
trying to be like that serious, super like technical band that's like trying to make you feel your most deepest emotion of all time. So
Well, I feel like some people have told us that we played at Sweetwater like a month ago or something, and somebody was telling us that like they went through an emotional roller coaster during our set.
Whoa.
That every
That's true.
yeah, that
Somebody did tell us
who was
that.
also she was Cuban too, like us.
Yeah.
So that was cool. But she was saying that every song had like a different like nerve that it hit, pretty much.
Different,
You know.
because there's different genres.
Because
you know?
there's different genres.
It's
There's
not
different
just punk
different
or whatever.
content lyrically. You know. So.
yeah, how do you guys classify yourselves, by the way?
Oh man.
Just music?
Well, we started off classifying ourselves as elf punks.
Elf punks.
Yeah, because we love to go to the Ren Fair and
Tight.
nerdy shit like that. Oh. And you know, so we adopted these like personalities as elves. We've got like the ears and shit. We've
Nice.
got costumes.
You ever think about putting that on stage?
Yeah, we've thought about it, but it's a lot of stuff to do for not that many shows that we play.
Yeah.
But also the hergy-durgy music.
Yeah,
that we do the
we do.
dur-dur-dur-dur-dur. You know how some of our
Yeah.
songs are
Yeah.
like that?
Yeah,
That's the elf punk beat or whatever. So
Nice.
it's
Yeah.
like swung.
We've
you know
got
what I
like
mean?
Yeah.
like
So-
3 or 4 songs that I would
It's almost
classify
like
as
music you
elf
could
punk.
drink too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like imagine flogging Molly, but also like not serious.
Is
We're
flogging
very-
Molly supposed to be serious? I think someone should tell them.
I don't know. They might be serious. They do have like some funeral dirge song. All the
They
songs.
get kind of mad.
I feel like if your songs are about drinking, you're serious, and we don't write any songs about drinking.
But a big influence is Mischief Brew,
Oh,
which
yeah.
you could probably hear. I don't know if you guys are into
Yeah.
them.
I've never heard of
I don't
Oh,
think
check 'em
I don't know
out.
if they're
Really good
super
band.
popular around here.
Really good band.
But
Mischief Brew.
well,
Yeah.
it's mostly one guy, Eric Peterson, rest in peace. And it's just like folky, punky, piratey,
Piratey music.
Nice.
you know,
Yeah.
just like all kinds of just like anything you can think of. He kind of mixes it in there.
Mhm.
Swashbuckling.
Yeah.
Love it. So you guys draw your influences a lot from old school people, right? Like I saw on your website, Lindsey Buckingham was one of your big guitar influences.
Yeah, have you ever heard the song "Big Love"?
Yeah,
by Fleetwood
course.
Mac. The live version from the dance, not the
Yeah.
recorded, the studio one.
Yes.
He plays that shit on like a classical guitar.
Yeah.
And he's playing it super fast. It sounds like there's 3 guitars happening. And when I first started playing guitar, I was like, "That's sick. How do I learn how to do that?"
He's like one of the most underrated guitarists of all time, in my opinion. Lindsey
Super
Buckingham,
good,
straight
yeah.
up.
That's
Right when I
true.
saw that, I was like, we got to get into some old school music, because all these young people are just like, oh yeah, I grew up on Nirvana, and like
Yeah, they-
Nirvana
we
is
grew
my
up on
influence.
Nirvana, too.
Every single person.
Yeah.
Blink
Every kid
182.
from the
It's like,
90s.
oh wow.
I also
like,
love Blink
I'm so sick of hearing
182.
that.
But
But, like,
until
The
self-titled.
difference is, yeah.
50s, 60s, 70s, like music, people don't like.
Yeah.
Nowadays, musicians aren't saying that those are their influences, and it makes me sad.
Because people don't listen to that anymore. You know, like
Yeah.
I'm surprised. Like I recorded this band Mass Dopamine earlier last week. I was surprised because they're younger, like 20 years
Yeah,
old.
they're very young.
Surprised that they were into Nirvana and what's Billy Corgan's band that I can never
Smashing
remember?
Pumpkins.
Smashing Pumpkins.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was surprised that they were into that because I feel like
They weren't alive when
know.
Kurt Cobain was
Yeah,
alive.
you
For
know,
sure.
that's
That's
that's like our
insane to
time.
me.
We are
so-
old enough to be.
Yeah.
Like we were kids,
20-year-olds
but
that could have
yeah.
been born in 2000 now.
Yeah, exactly.
That's so.
So-
crazy
It's like
to
my
even think
like
about
my
it.
brother
Giving away my
is 19 or 18 years old,
Yeah.
and he does not listen to that kind of stuff. He mostly listens to like trap and
That's
stuff like that.
huge.
Yeah.
For that generation now.
That's just what it
The
is.
Zoomers.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, I guess I'm not even that old. I'm not even 30, but like, I grew up on the radio, like old radio, Fox 97. It was probably before you guys got here. It was an
Yeah.
oldies radio station
Yeah.
that would just play 50s, 60s, 70s only.
That's
Like,
what's
Oh, yeah.
up.
it wouldn't even get into the hair metal in the 80s.
yeah, thank God.
And so I grew up on
Thank
like
God.
doo-wop and
For the
Doo-wop.
better.
just
Great.
like
yeah,
the Birds and like old stuff. That was just like, that's what made me get into music so heavily. And all these bands that we say are influences now, like Nirvana and Smashing Pumpkins, like you're saying, like those were influenced by people like The Who
Mhm.
and
Of
stuff
course,
like
yeah.
that
Yeah.
were just like doing that punk thing before punk existed and doing those scenes without. It's just
Yeah.
insane to me that these people don't delve back into the influences of their influences.
yeah. They're hardly recognized as influential as they were, because I feel like in large because of the alternative and like counterculture-ness
Yeah.
of that music coming up into the mainstream a little bit, that it's like not cool to like Led Zeppelin, it's not cool to like Fleetwood Mac or whatever, because it's like that's what my grandparents listened to or whatever. But like in doing that, you're like losing that, I think Mac Fleetwood was the name of the drummer. That
Yeah.
guy's a fucking sick pocket drummer. He's
He
like
was.
he's only hitting the kick and the hi-hat for like a whole entire song, and it sounds better than like most drummers I've ever heard doing.
He
all
wrote
kinds of shit.
melodies on drums.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
straight up.
Which is like an Art Blakey technique, which
Yeah.
takes you back even further into like jazz and stuff. So, I like all kinds of music. So all of it kind of finds its way into the band. I feel like we try really hard to not do anything that can be ascribed to like a particular genre more than once.
Yeah, okay.
If you get what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
like
So you don't get pigeonholed.
pigeonholed. Yes, that's the word.
Yeah, that's the worst. I mean, for musicians coming up, everyone's always trying to classify you or pin you down somewhere,
Yeah.
Because that's like what the human condition is. Like, we're always trying to label
Classify
things
and
and
label.
put
We
them
want to
in
be able to
categories.
relate to it in one way or another
Yeah.
and just give it a name. And like, oh, you remind me
Yeah.
of this or that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you guys get sick of the White Stripes, like, reference just because you're a guitarist, singer, and drummer.
I think we've only gotten it 3 or 4 times.
Even with a girl drummer too.
Surprisingly.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
No, we do get it, but we knew
get it.
we knew that was gonna happen
Yeah.
beforehand, so that's
Yeah.
why we did that parody
Yeah.
song.
Yeah, that just so everybody
I don't know if you
knows.
remember
Yes,
it.
know,
I do. I wanted
Like,
to get into that.
Yeah.
we know that song sounds like "Fell in Love with a Girl." We did it on purpose. But some people pointed out, they're like, "Oh, that sounds like the White Stripes song." Like on the internet, I was like, "It's on purpose. It's
Yeah,
supposed to sound
that's
like."
the point, right?
But if you'd ever notice, it's the same melody that is the same riff
Tom
from
Petty.
from Tom Petty, exactly. So that's kind of the joke that's going on there.
So that was you guys making fun of yourselves in a sense.
Yeah.
Well, and
Or,
also
like-
clearly he was very upset at somebody while we were doing that song.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know
Yeah.
if you hear what he's saying, but
Yeah, I
he says, I'm
wanted to
gonna
hear the
rip
story
off your
behind that because
pee-pee and like
it's
all
really-
this and that.
it's
Like,
really intense.
angry.
But I
Yeah.
didn't know if you were
Angry
making
shit.
fun of Tom Petty and Jack.
It's like a combo.
It's a little combo of all that stuff and like a little just the lyrics, just whatever was on my mind to fill in those melodies. So
He's a freelancer, and so what happens when you're freelancers, when you're dealing with a lot of bands and musicians, like this one guy dicked him off, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
made him record, didn't want to pay, that shit
Wow.
happens.
Yeah.
So, and then, I was starting to learn drums, and I was like, people are gonna, like, call us, like, the fucking White Stripes or whatever.
Of course.
So then, like,
Yeah.
like that, he had to release his anger towards this guy, and I kind of wanted just to make fun of the White Stripes a little bit.
Well,
she,
yeah, I
she
mean-
likes to make fun of them. I kind of
He likes
was
them
really
for
into.
real.
I was really into
not
Jack
actually,
White
though.
in
I
the
love Jack
elephant in the elephant period.
Okay, yeah.
But except for Seven Nation Army, can't stand that song. But like
It's a
I
classic.
appreciate
though.
them, though.
It is a classic.
I
Black
appreciate
Math though, that song is fucking sick.
They have
They
their,
are
they have their
sick. He is
bangers.
sick.
Hypnotized, they got a ton of really good stuff. Just the hits sometimes are just too. Like, you hear them too much.
Well,
you
yeah,
get
I mean,
tired.
we grew up on
He's
that.
making that money though.
But
so.
I was
Yeah.
really into that whole like glitchy, way too distorted guitar sounding thing that he was doing. It was like my first exposure to like sloppy punk guitar, like kind of
Yes.
like Black Flag before I was into Black Flag.
Like
So,
intentionally
yeah.
messed up, which is why he got Meg on the drums.
Yeah.
He didn't want a
Balance it
real
out.
drummer, or like he wanted someone who was learning like you to
Right.
get like those primal beats in there.
Yeah.
Which is like what I like about you guys' sound. Like when the other judges, when we collabed, when I first saw you guys, they were like, "Oh, the drummer was like not doing as well as the other ones, and obviously like the instruments on this band are super low." And I was like, "Do you guys not understand that this is like the point of their sound?" Like they straight up didn't get that the point was a stripped down like primal version
Right.
Yeah.
of like technicality. You don't need it. Like
Yeah.
if you guys got technical, it would take away from what you're doing.
It wouldn't
Yeah.
sound the same.
Exactly.
So.
And
Yeah.
like they didn't understand that at all.
Imagine if I would
and
have
so
been
it's like,
shredding the whole time. It would have been like
I know it
with
would have
just
been
the guitar
distracting.
shredding at the same time. It's like, what am I even listening to? Like
Yeah.
only one person should really be shredding at a
Yeah.
time.
I think none of us should shred. I think we
We
should.
don't shred. Yeah.
We should
that much.
play. I think we should play as an ensemble where everybody has their equally meaningful part, and without one part, the other
Yeah.
parts just really don't. The together, I feel like it's greater than the sum of the whole. Whatever that saying is.
And another thing about shredding is when you're playing something super technical, is it like almost distances you from your audience because they're like, I could
Absolutely.
never
You feel
attain this,
alienated. Yeah.
and like it's almost hard and intimidating to understand.
Yeah.
But when you hear something that's like, I could do that. Like
Yeah.
that's what made Weezer so appealing to people, was like
Mhm.
their garage, like simple. No one's doing anything technical at all. Like
Yeah.
anyone can learn anything they're doing within like a year.
True.
So
Very
like
true.
it made you feel like a part of it, which is what I was going back to, like when I was first saying like you guys felt like, I feel like you were in on an inside joke like with you guys when I first saw
Yeah.
you.
We
It's,
wanted
like,
to feel
welcoming.
Yeah, we wanted to feel like, come have a good time with us. We're gonna play you, some songs that we enjoy playing, because we do come from that like, we're gonna play this song and I want to see heads rolling. I
Yeah.
want to see blood everywhere.
Yes.
Like
We were both very into punk in our high school days, believe it or not. So that's funny. I mean,
How do you
Used
feel
to
like
go to
the
shows.
punk and metal scene is here compared to Miami?
softer.
Softer, really?
more
Oh,
more
called
more
out.
relaxed. Yeah.
Called out Atlanta.
But
Atlanta
softer in a good way.
No,
Everyone's
but it's
nicer.
more inviting.
Oh,
like,
okay.
look, in Miami, it's like it's such an ego city. It's like
Oh,
ego,
yeah.
ego. You know what I mean? Atlanta is not an ego city, so and that's reflected in the music scene. It's more like, yeah, we're hard, but it's like you could still talk to them. In Miami, it's like,
Yeah.
don't
Well,
fucking talk to me.
There's
Like I'm just, I
there's
don't know.
there's also the
Anger.
influence of just being in a different environment, which I feel like our band is also a good reflection on how your environment influences the music you're making, because out here you're in like all this beautiful
Southern
green
hospitality,
pasture. The
you know?
food is really really fucking good.
Yeah, really good.
Yeah.
Everyone's really
Everywhere.
nice, It's not
now
that
everybody's
hot.
gonna be like, oh, she sings
No.
Atlantis.
And,
I
and
don't.
so
Atlanta's so
everybody
I don't,
everybody
I
here
don't.
is, you know, a product of this really nice environment. In Miami, there are no fucking trees. It's super fucking hot. It's humid
you're
as
sweating
fuck.
your ass off, so you're
You can't
pissed,
get a job that
know?
wants to pay you enough to feed yourself, and the rent is like high as fuck.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
people are more
You know,
happy
and
here.
the only music you hear is like techno and reggaeton. And then, you know, it reflects in
brutal
the
for
it reflects
musicians.
in the underground music
Yeah.
that tries
It's,
to
I
go
can see
it's
that.
like
brutal. Like, think
polar
about
opposite of
what
that.
bands do you
So,
know
yeah.
from Miami? None, probably. Very few.
Yeah, very few.
Yeah.
But I mean, like,
Dashboard? No, I'm
Iggy
kidding.
Pop lives there by choice because he wants to escape music. So it is
Lord.
like a
Wow.
musical like void there.
But at the
Unless-
same time, when you're saying like they're trying to go the polar opposite of like that reggaeton by playing
Yeah.
the punk, like I feel like Atlanta is like that in a lot of ways where there's so much country and like stuff like that around Georgia and the South in general that Atlanta's like, all right, let's go metal and let's go punk. Because there are so
Yeah.
many punk. The punk and metal scene here is
It's huge.
insane.
But
Yeah.
It's huge.
from an outsider perspective, because I didn't grow up here,
Yeah.
I can hear the influence of the country music on the metal and the punk.
For sure. Like the
That's
Chariot.
There you
like,
go.
Yeah.
Straight up. And Every Time I Die.
And the scene is bigger here also. Let me be
Yeah.
clear about that. Like the scene
There's
in
more
Miami is not
bands,
that big. There's
more
like
venues.
there is a lot of people.
There's a
Definitely.
lot of competition here.
A
People
lot of
want to
people.
pay you out here to do stuff.
And the bands are good. Like the bands is like, man, you'll
They
see
are.
like dad bands. Like this guy's been playing
Oh.
drums for like 20 years, who knows? And they
Oh,
just
yeah.
shred still.
I wish I could remember
You
what
know?
band that was. I know which one you're talking about. We saw them at 529.
Yeah.
I have a bunch of names I could drop, but I don't really want to.
Yeah,
Dad
we don't
bands
have to
we've
go through
played
all
with
that.
are dadding it up, I guess.
Dude,
I
and
love
Hey,
those.
they're good though.
Dad's got to
yeah,
play
they're
too.
good.
Moms and dads got to jam.
They take themselves real seriously sometimes, though, which I
Yeah,
don't understand. As like a 50-year-old dude and like playing a local show.
They probably come from like the harder, earlier 80s
Yeah.
scene and stuff.
They're
where-
still living in it.
yeah, still living in that era. But you know, I'm convinced that when you drop that whole, you know, like trying to adhere to that, you know,
Stereotype,
hardness
yeah.
or whatever, you'll be a lot happier.
Yeah,
True
I mean, yeah.
that.
We were going into it with word problems last week of like the welcomeness and like the inclusiveness of the scene here and how just
Yeah.
chill and cool all the people in bands are.
Definitely,
Absolutely.
It's
yeah.
awesome. It's like a big family.
And people
It
are like
is.
really supportive.
It's
Yeah.
like
So
that.
supportive.
It's like
I
that in
know.
Miami too, because I have tons of friends out there that are all in bands, and it was never like competitive and like my band's better than you. It was more like, man, that guy did some fucking gnarly blast beats for so long. Let me see if I can do him as loud as him for that long today. You know, like
Yeah.
like
That's true.
so fast you couldn't even see his hands moving. Kind of like.
Where they look like they're on like rubber.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty
Where the
much.
sticks
funny.
just start bending because they're moving so fast.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, here it's always like you see a band and then you just want to go play with them. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's
That's
just like, hey,
true.
let's put a show on together.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's a band that we saw out here called Policy. Young dudes playing some like 80s style hardcore punk stuff. I thought they were so fucking good.
Really good.
And it's taken me like almost a year, I think, since we saw them for me to find a way to get into contact with them because I wanted to like offer them like a free song or something because
Yeah.
I just think they're so awesome. But they're like super young dudes. They're probably just graduated high school.
That's
And
awesome.
I think they're really good, and I think everyone should probably check those guys out.
Nice. Good shout out.
So-
All right. Good plug. We might have to get them on here.
Plugging everybody.
Oh yeah,
For real.
the plugs.
The plugs. So you guys, I wanted to get into this real quick. Weird transition. That's terrible. All right. So you guys are kind of like, you're a band, but you're more of like a brand to me. I feel like you're like an all-encompassing story. It's almost like you guys are like a TV show. Like if you go check out their website, there's so much going on. There's so
That's
like
true.
it's like you walk us through your story of how you came here from Miami. Like your music is almost like a chronological event. Like
It's true.
it's like
Yeah.
it's like a show you're a part of. that you guys
Pretty
are, like,
much.
filling us in.
That's
It's really cool.
It does feel like that as
it's
well.
it's the effect of growing up in this age of social media where you
And
have to
a
put
lot of
everything out
Nickelodeon.
there, and a lot of Nickelodeon.
As
Yeah,
you can tell.
very very much. But I feel like everybody's always living on like a TV show. Like, you know, you drive down the street, you'll see somebody like rapping at their like camera phone, like
Yeah.
like as if they're on TV. Everybody's always like putting it on for somebody, you know. At all times.
But also like what I do a lot is I edit a lot anyway. Like that's kind of what I'm doing, and so it's fun to have a project where I'm just like, fuck it, make this look crazy as hell. You know what I mean? Like crazy with the colors, like red, yellow, blue. I don't know, because I do a lot of boring corporate stuff. So it's not as fun. I can't go as wild with like my editing. So like because I'm, you know, we have the band, it's like why not do all the videos as well? Like it's fun for us.
Yeah, you get to let that creative expression out.
Yeah.
That you can at work. That's really cool.
Exactly.
And also experiment, and you get like content.
Yeah,
Best
exactly.
of all the worlds.
A lot of it is really just me like, oh, I got character animator. I'm gonna go like mess around in this program for like a while, and you know we have the song, so then.
It's very also learning based for us. I feel like a lot of the playing, I'm trying to like learn how to play, you know, finger picking on guitar. She's like, you know, just started learning how to play drums like when we started the band. Obviously, you know, I've been recording stuff for like a while, but you know, you're always learning, and this kind of gives me a reason to like experiment with mic placement and, you know, mixing techniques and learn a little bit more. And then I've even gotten to take a crack at editing shit on like Adobe and whatever. So it's like a really very much a learning experience, and you know, everything here is almost, I feel like, portfolio based. Like, look, we learned how to do this.
Yeah.
You know, like,
we're literally just doing whatever we fucking feel like and what we like. You know what I
That's
mean?
the
It's like,
best.
okay,
Oh my
I want
God.
to like,
Well,
I
that's
don't
how
know,
you
I want to
learn a
create
lot, too.
characters and shit, and like, because I like animation and stuff too.
Yeah.
Like, I'm way more visual than him.
It's
so
true.
like, I don't know.
Well,
Just
there's
like
only
to do
two
all
of
that
you, so
stuff.
it's not a whole lot of coordination or like
No.
you don't have to okay it with 18 people in a band.
Yeah.
And
sometimes
you
it
have
feels
all
like
the equipment here.
Yeah.
So like there's no time, there's no waiting on for someone else to do something for you. You can just do it yourselves.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And you guys have cranked out so much music in such a short amount of time because you can do all that, right?
Yeah, pretty
Pretty
much.
much.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and like living together helps.
Yeah.
So we're always trying to just keep going, do more and do more, do more.
Yeah.
How's that dynamic of being in a relationship with someone you're also playing music?
It's
Good.
awesome.
Yeah?
I recommend
awesome.
it for everybody because it's so much fucking fun.
It's a lot of fun.
You can literally do it anytime you guys get bored.
Music, that is.
Music.
Right?
Yeah, you can do either or.
Every time too.
Either or, and you know, and it's just a fun something or other that you can do to be creative with your partner, and you know, it's just, you know, it's fun. There's no one better to do it with than someone you love. So
That's so cute.
imagine being in a band with somebody that like you
You
kind of like, but like they're really annoying and stuff, you know, and
been there. Been there.
you have to depend on them, you know.
Like the
like-
barefoot kind of people. You know, there's always like that barefoot person in every band. It seems
Don't listen to
like.
this, Peters. Don't listen. Our bassist plays barefoot every single
I'm
show.
telling you, there's always that one barefoot
But
guy.
yeah, I mean,
always.
it helps because we kind of count on each other to be responsible for a lot already. So just it kind of translates into the making the art that we're just like trust each other to be responsible, and you know, we also realize that we're just trying to have fun with it. So you
That's
know,
awesome.
we're not gonna take it so seriously that it's gonna like drive us apart
Yeah,
or whatever. So,
Yeah, no
Yeah.
pressure. We're a no pressure
Yeah.
band.
minimal pressure.
that's so cool. That's so
yeah.
cool.
Yeah, the point is relaxation and fun and enjoyment.
Yeah.
So
And also, I didn't
Yeah.
know anybody when I moved out here, and when she sat behind the drums and started playing the first elf punk beat ever, I was elated. I
You're
was
like,
like, this is gonna happen every fucking day,
That's awesome.
and it pretty much did. And I actually have the release drum chronology
that's
on
yeah.
2 hard drives.
Maybe I'm the first ever like completely documented drummer, like from very first moment
Yeah.
drumming to. He has
That's
a lot
true.
of blackmail on me.
Tons.
So
So, but she's got all the outtake videos from when we were doing the first 2 album demo things.
Yeah, so speaking of that whole thing, like our first album, we live recorded it in every single place you see the videos. So like we recorded a song in the kitchen.
Yeah.
You saw Korean Pancake. We recorded a lot of it. No, this was the master bedroom back then.
This was the master bedroom,
then
but we shot the
around the
video
house,
for Things for Our Things in
Miami.
here.
So we would record each one 20 times, and so we would just take the best
20 times, wow.
take of the 20.
Even if you nailed it on the third one, you're like,
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
gotta
We
do
kept
it 17
going
more.
20 times
Yeah.
each song
Because
so,
the
you guys know
lighting
how hard it is
changes,
to
you
like
know?
with the lighting
Yeah.
and the this
You got to
and the
make sure you
that, and
look cool.
It's crazy.
I'm
and
looking
so
cool.
That's the
it had to
hardest
be a
part.
good take, like a perfect take,
Still
or like
working
as
on that
close as we can get it.
Yeah.
So
And I refused to like do a guitar or vocal in post on that first
on the first album,
on
did
that
not.
first album.
That's
all
I
live.
did well. No,
Wow.
there's 2 songs that weren't live, which were For the Void because I still can't play that song, and Production Office because at the time we couldn't really play it like we can actually play it now. So, but you know, I think we're gonna go
That's
back
impressive.
and redo some stuff eventually.
Yeah.
Not,
Really?
not right now,
Okay.
but
No.
you know, go back, redo it, overproduce the fuck out of it,
Overproduce
Yeah.
layer
yeah.
it with stuff, put it out as Super Pink Frosty.
Super Pink Frosty.
So yeah, be looking out for that in the near future.
The new brand.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
Wow.
and then you know
Upgraded
it'll be like
deluxe.
Neutral Milk Hotel, but with the orchestra.
Whoa.
You know? Hopefully.
Awesome.
Because I did notice that with your newest single is that the production value did have a jump there.
I put a piano on. Ding ding ding. Yeah, that pedal note or whatever
Yeah.
that's called. Yeah, and I think I did some vocal overdubs. I doubled my vocal on part of it. So. But,
Yeah.
But the other than that, the song was recorded live. That's the live vocal take from the song, live guitar take, live drums. So I just threw on a vocal and a ding ding ding.
It's really cool. So it's like you're just letting the audience grow with you guys as you're going.
Pretty much.
I just love it.
yeah.
Literally,
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not worried about putting out that like perfectly polished thing, but you're still doing like as good as you can get every time, and it's awesome. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's also, like I said, a learning experience. So I find that, you know, if I can get us to sound as good as possible with a live take, you know, just with the proper mic placement, then, you know, and it's like play it, go listen to it, play it, move it around, play it again, go listen to it. I could do it probably twice as fast if I was like not playing the stuff.
Yeah.
So it's more practice for me, especially to, you know,
Hone your craft.
hone my craft.
That's really
Yes.
cool. And is it like a feel thing? Is that why you want to do it live? Or is it just not like what you were saying earlier? Just
I
like
think
the,
it's partly a feel thing.
Yeah.
Also, I know that she works off of my cues. Like I'll like
Yeah.
yell at her. I'll say "hey" a lot.
Yeah.
It's usually "hey." So the only way to do that is to play the song, and then a lot of it is I'll vamp on a chord for, you know, an extra bar depending on the take, or like guitar solos will be jammed out longer or shorter depending on how I feel. So, you know, it helps to not have that rigid like 8-bar guitar solo and then chorus kind of thing.
Yeah, like
So,
a looser feel of
yeah.
every song.
exactly.
Yeah.
Now, would you go and do, I guess, the same kind of thing for the live show?
Yeah,
Like, it's just like if you want to drag it out a little bit longer, just
yeah,
not
definitely.
stuck to exactly how you recorded it.
Yeah, well, there's some songs that, you know, like something like "I Wish I Was a Dog" would be probably
It's always
exactly.
exactly the
Yeah,
same.
it's
Oh,
always
yeah,
exactly
yeah.
the same. But like
Bamboo's always
bamboo,
different.
yeah, bamboo changes
single
every
time
time
it's
that we play it. What's another one that changes a lot every time we play it?
I'm just like, no, I need to see you
I
guys, 'cause
can't
I
really
haven't seen them
think.
yet.
They're
I can't really
awesome.
think
You
of them
have
off
to
the
see
top of
them.
my head. For the Void changes, but it's mostly just like I
The
end up
solo.
vamping on the chord for a little longer than, you know, before I sing or something like that. Stuff to like catch my breath kind of things.
Yeah.
You know? So it's a little bit about that, but it is also the feel, you know, like if I told her to record an entire song on drums in here without me going, I feel like she would probably play it a little bit more robotically or whatever.
Yeah,
Oh,
I mean, when you're on a
absolutely.
click, you kind of do feel that like unnatural, like perfect rhythm almost.
Yeah.
Like when it is perfect, it
It's too
kind of
perfect.
feels unnatural
Yeah.
to a degree.
Exactly.
Unless you
So-
really can like, if you've been playing
Play around
20
it.
years, then you can make that feel natural.
And I
but it
cannot
it
play
takes
on a click,
forever.
so.
Yeah,
And
I
I'm
mean,
not gonna try to make her play on a click. That sounds crazy.
yeah. Some people can do it, some people can't, and yeah, I've seen it both ways where some people can't not like,
Yeah,
play on a click, and a lot of producers are like, you gotta play to a click. So
I've
I always-
heard.
I always find that some of my favorite albums didn't play to a click.
Because
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like the real,
Yeah.
it's the real human vibe of the music. You know, music slows down, it speeds up. If you listen
Exactly.
to like a Zeppelin record and you put it on a click or whatever, you're gonna see bottom slows down super
Yeah.
hard all the time. You know, and they did. You know that guy Rick Beato?
no.
He does some cool audio and music videos. He's actually from Atlanta. He took like a John Bonham drum beat and put it on a metronome and like quantized it
Yeah,
and then like played it, you know, for a couple of bars and it just sounded like
bad, right?
weird. It didn't sound bad, but it didn't sound like Zeppelin.
like the
Disconnected.
greatest of all time.
Didn't
His
have
feel
the-
is
yeah,
what
didn't have
made
the
him
feel.
him.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's what everyone says, and you can't quantify it. You can't measure it. Why it's so good, but you just know it's there when you hear it.
Yeah.
That feel.
That it's like somewhere between like a straight quarter notes and kind of swung, but like if you listen to it, it's not exactly swung and it's not exactly quarter notes kind of stuff. Like,
Yeah, and he's like lagging behind the beat sometimes
Yep.
to like give you that feel of a lagging song. Like he does it on purpose.
I know. I've heard of like producers that'll go in and they'll like, I want all these hits to be right on the fucking on the bar, right on the
Seen
click.
it.
And then when you get to this part, put it slightly after the bar so that it's got a looser feel or whatever.
Wow.
So people get crazy with the technology, and that's also part of the reason that we record everything live is because it's so easy to get caught up in the, you know, like the editing and like the tuning the vocal and, you know, triggering the drums and all kinds of crazy shit. But
Yeah.
what people don't really do anymore is first off play together, you know, and control your own dynamics, which I don't think we have the best control of dynamics yet, but you know,
That takes a lot
like,
of
you know,
practice.
there are at least dynamics in it to some extent that you can hear when we're playing. And I forgot where I was going with it. But oh yeah, pretty much that the live take will sound better because you're going to be like on the same page with each other
Yeah,
as opposed to, I mean, just really being in the same room makes a big difference. I've done live takes where I was like isolated as a drummer and the rest of the band was outside in the control room and you can hear the discomfort on the recording
Yeah.
that it's like
the disconnect.
You
Yeah.
could hear it sometimes when
so
it's
There
true.
is that like unspoken feel of when you're playing with somebody. It's like a conversation without words
yeah.
with your instruments and with your just micro expressions that you can pick up on as like humans, you know,
Pretty
that are
much,
just
yeah.
like you can't quantify it again, and it's that feel, quote unquote.
Definitely, it's definitely mostly feel. You know, like
Yeah.
people didn't start playing music because they thought it was like mathematical
Exactly.
and, you know, scientific. They just fucking did it. I'm pretty sure it just happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shit, just a jam.
They felt like
you know?
it.
Exactly.
It's in everybody to just want to jam kind of thing.
Yeah, it is.
Didn't we hear the other day that the Rolling Stones "Satisfaction" song was actually recorded in a hotel,
No,
and they
it
went to the
was-
studio
it
to
was
re-recording
it was
and
Start
they're
Me
like,
Up.
scratch that.
Yeah,
Let's
it was-
just
Start Me Up.
use the
It was
demo.
Start Me Up. They recorded.
Start
they
Me Up,
re-
which like
they-
made them millions and millions.
Yeah, they did the demo, and then
In
the
a
song
hotel
got
room.
picked up, and then they tried to redo it in the studio, and they were like they could never get the
They couldn't
the
get it
vibe
again.
to be the same again. So they just took the demo that they did, like guitars or something in like a hotel and vocals in a hotel, you know, and that's the demo, but that's like the fucking
That's
take.
That's.
spot.
I mean, it does sound different. Like, and that
Than
explains
the
why.
rest of that
Yeah,
record too, I think, because
Yeah.
the rest of it was all done in the studio. So
that's so cool.
yeah, so I mean, it's just something about like, you know, first thought, best thought.
Yeah.
is what I've kind of discovered. Like when you put too much thought into it, it starts to feel forced, and like, you know, try to correct every little thing. You know, you just can't.
I mean, even with a technical progressive band like Rush, they recorded everything live except for when they got to La Via Strangiato because they couldn't
Oh yeah.
because it's so technically
Too much.
crazy.
Exactly.
And they had to chop it up into 18 parts. I mean,
Wow.
so, but I mean, even
18
bands like
parts, oh my
that
God.
that are like so technical and so progressive, and you're thinking, oh, there's no way they played this all live. But they did it all live.
I think it's you know, it just goes to show that first off, you got to be able to play the fucking song.
Yeah.
So that's another reason that we did it live, that we do everything live, is because there's so many bands that
It's easy to cheat.
it's like, yeah, it's real easy to just like, yeah, just move that chorus because it was good the first time, or you know,
Backing track.
yeah, you got a lot of bands that play along to backing tracks at work and stuff.
Yeah.
So.
But a lot of bands use that, like use the studio time where they're, I guess, quote unquote, cheating, where they're doing something like just one bar that they
Yeah.
couldn't fit in between the other bars.
Right.
And they use that as like a learning experience of, I can learn this later. Like
Yeah.
this will force me to perfect that. So like there's a couple different schools of thought going into that. But yeah, for sure. I respect where you're coming from.
There's, you know, I have projects like that too, where I want to be like, you know, I want to punch in that whole bar because it didn't sound as intense as the last bar. So
Mhm.
I have my moments, but that's, I feel like, you know, if I'm recording a band that requires it and you have to sound good in the first place to even get that perfect, you know.
Exactly.
To do it with somebody that couldn't play in the first place, it's like, let me play it, you know, fuck it. So no,
That's what
happened.
Danzig did to
Yeah,
the Misfits.
Danzig did that on one Misfits record where he went back and redid the bass, drums, and guitars and didn't tell anybody.
God,
So-
Dave Grohl has nightmare stories of that with the Foo Fighters.
Oh, really?
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
with the didn't he basically
He recorded
kicked out
every
the
single
drummer from
bit.
Sunny Day Real Estate and redid his drums, but they sounded exactly the same,
Every single part.
Just because.
just because he
Yeah.
didn't want the guy to get the credit.
Damn.
Unreal.
He didn't want someone else getting them drum royalties.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. I mean, it's a brutal world out there.
damn.
Yep. All right. Where are we at on time?
We are almost at an hour.
All right. You
Okay.
guys want to do flip it, forge it, or fuck it?
Forge it.
Forge it. We got another forge it. Okay. So, forge it. What song are you going to be doing for us? What
This-
new jam?
This song is, I believe, tentatively titled "Kitty Cowboy." Open parentheses, yeah, close parentheses.
So Pink Frosty.
So yeah, very very up the Pink Frosty alley. If you like animals, you'll probably like this song.
Kitty Cowboy. So how'd you come up with this one? Tell us a little background story of it.
I know that the initial, like the intro riff, is something that I just kind of accidentally played one day. I think there's maybe even a video of us coming up with it at Kite High House because it was a live stream. It was our very first show at Kite High House.
Wow.
And I just played it by accident, and I was like, I like that. I think I'm going to use it. And then I just have been kind of like playing it for a little bit, and I think the melody just all kind of rushed at me one afternoon. And, you know, it's very simple. It's like 2 chords or something like that. But I was playing the wrong 2 chords for a long time. We actually just figured out which 2 chords sounded the best for it maybe a week ago. So
Hell yeah. So no one has heard this.
no one's heard this song except for the neighbors.
All right. Hope they like it.
And Cooper and Tina have also heard it.
And
Those
Cooper's
are our
napping.
puppies, by the way, guys.
Yes, they're famous puppies that you have definitely seen in their videos if
They're,
you've seen anything from Pink
Yeah,
Frosty.
they're on both album covers.
They're adorable.
They're adorable. They're really good dogs. They actually have a vocal cameo on the intro of I Wish I Was a Dog. That's both of our dogs actually singing in the studio. So
All right. Well, let's get to the Forge It, and it is Kitty Cowboy.
yeah.
Kitty Cowboy by Pink Frosty. Thanks for coming in, guys.
Thanks for having us.